friends, welcome to Tori Talks TV, and welcome to our Fab 5. This Fab 5 is the top 5 best scenes from Game of Thrones Season 8, the last season. Okay, so we all know a lot of exciting things happened this season, so let's start with you, Dr. S. What do you have as your number 5?
Okay, my number 5 is from episode 5.
Perfect.
Entitled The Bells. And this is, well, let's just say it. This is what we all know as the Clegane Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Long awaited, but I just have to say it is from when we see Qyburn get smashed into the wall.
Mm-hmm.
That was like part of the sequence I love.
For sure.
And then Cersei tiptoe away to let Clegane Bowl play out. And then just that whole scene, I thought it was great. It was very satisfying. We've all been waiting for it, and they just did it so well.
I agree with that. He just wouldn't die. So, you know, the Hound had to do what he had to do, even if it meant killing himself.
It was a very meaningful death.
I know.
And
they're brothers.
Fire.
That's so sad. Yeah, exactly. That's a really good one. Yeah. Very memorable.
Yes.
Okay, great. So my number 5 is from episode 2, and it is when Brienne is knighted by Jaime. Good picture, huh? Yeah. That's huge, obviously, because, well, like I was saying, I didn't think this would ever happen. I didn't even know it was a possibility, because it technically wasn't, but they were like, let's throw all the rules out. It doesn't matter anyway, because they're about to go into battle and thought they're going to die. Exactly, what's the point? So, okay, so you're supposed to be a man, but whatever. Yeah. She is braver than most of the men there anyway. She's more of a knight than most of the men.
I think she's braver than all of the men there.
Probably. Yes. Probably. Yeah, and I liked that after that happened, she got up and smiled.
Tears.
So nice to see her smile.
Happy tears.
Yeah, and I liked that he was the one to do it. That Jaime was the one to knight her. Mm-hmm. Because, you know, there's something going on between them. You know, some kind of connection. Very appropriate.
Agree.
Yeah, one of the best. Yes. Okay, let's go to number 4, shall we?
Yes, so my number 4 is from episode 2, and it's from A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms. And this is when, so Jorah recommends that Dany talk to Sansa.
Yes.
And they have a little one-on-one. And Sansa basically tells her, you know, Jon's in love with you, and men, when they're in love, they're easily manipulated.
Got it bad.
And Dany's like, who manipulated who? Here I am. I was trying to get the Iron Throne. It's all I wanted my whole life. But now I'm here fighting his war. So maybe I got manipulated. But the part that I love the most is when Sansa says to her, okay, so when all this is said and done, what about the North? And Dany's like, little hand moves away from Sansa's hand.
Not so fast.
I just thought that was just a beautiful illustration of, like, the moment, the rift between Sansa and Dany.
Really captures it, too.
Just like the little hand.
And it's almost like Dany was maybe even trying to manipulate her, and she didn't fall for it. She was like, yeah, okay, sweet talker, but what about my North?
They're at an impasse.
Good for you. Yeah. They're both doing what they have to do. Very strong women there. Great scene. Great scene. So my number 4 is from episode 6, which was the last one, and it is when Sansa was hailed the Queen of the North. It's the whole thing. It's her walking down there and people kneeling, her getting ready, having the crown, and then she finally gets to sit there as the Queen in the North. She's come so far. Maybe the furthest. Maybe she come farther than anybody. Maybe.
Except Bran, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, Sansa.
I just want to think so. And this is one of the happiest moments of that episode, too.
I love that moment, too. And have you seen, like, where they show pictures of her in, like, different stages of the show? Oh, my gosh, they make me cry.
I know. Our little girl's all grown up.
The little bird, no longer a bird. Now she's Queen of the North.
That's right. She rules.
Yes.
And she fought for that. She fought for their independence, so
yes.
It's rightfully.
What about the North?
Exactly. Right? And she's like, and I want to keep it independent like it has been for thousands of years. Yes, she got her way. Good for you. Yes. So, shall we move on?
Yes.
Let's go. Number 3, what's yours?
So, my number 3 is from episode 2, A Knight of the Seven Kingdoms, and it's also when Jaime knights Sir Brienne of Tarth.
Yay!
Oh, I just love that moment. So, for me, I feel like this was their making love moment.
Oh,
like that would have been enough for me. As we know, later on they do actually make love. But this to me was even more significant than that. It was like more meaningful. It's just like
more loving.
this was it. This is, for me, that could have been the
epitome
of their relationship, and I would have been completely happy with it.
Right.
Like, and she cried.
Yeah.
And the whole thing was beautiful.
Tormund was her, like, cheerleader.
And everybody watching and cheering it
and
on.
approved of it. Where nobody had anything bad to say about it. Everybody was like, yeah, totally, she should be a knight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great scene.
So we agreed.
Yeah. Good. So my number 3 best scene is from episode 5, and it is when Tyrion is saying goodbye to Jaime after he's given him that, like, escape plan for him and Cersei, because it was so emotional, it was so sweet, and it just made you remember how good Jaime actually was to Tyrion.
Yes.
And how he was saying, you're the only one that didn't treat me like I was a monster, I would have never survived my childhood without you, and the embrace, and it's so sweet, and like how they wrote it, I knew that they would never see each other again. I mean, you know, it was episode 5, there's only one more episode left, but it was very impactful and moving. Yes. Oh my gosh, and Jaime, good job. I mean, he never turned his back on either of his siblings. You notice that?
Yes, that's true.
He was loyal to them to the end. Maybe more loyal to Cersei.
That almost made my list too.
They came out of the womb together. You know, they were brought into the world together. They go out together. I get that. All right. Number 2 for you?
My number 2 is from episode 6, The Iron Throne. So maybe I kind of cheated. It's more of a sequence.
There are no rules.
It's a sequence.
Oh, okay.
I know. So it's that whole final, after Bran, we leave Bran. And then it's the remaining Stark. So it's Arya, Sansa, and Jon. And it kind of intercuts between, like, where they're going to be off to. Mm-hmm. And the second time watching this, I was literally in tears of joy. Like, no joke. Like, just seeing where Arya is going to go off to west of Westeros to explore. And then Sansa, the scene that you described, that was just perfect.
It's the best that they could have with what, I mean, has transpired. Like, where they are now, that's the best that they could do.
Right,
I mean.
and Jon getting to go north with Tormund to, like, you know, he's gone through so much, he's obviously not, like, happy, but then he's going to, it's like the beginnings of possible happiness for all of the Starks.
For sure.
Fresh start. Like, they kind of smile. Like, you know, there's, like, hope. There's, like, some hope that everything they went through was for good. So, yeah, just that whole thing. Beautiful.
And how Stark
the music. That connected all of those scenes too.
It all had the same thing. It was Arya walking down the ship. It was her walking through the hall. It was him walking through the wildling. It was all done
moving
very
forward,
well.
And you can just imagine, like, what their futures might be like. And so, like, you know, I can go to bed, like, dreaming about what Arya's doing.
Yeah, we'll write our own story.
Exactly.
We'll finish it.
The story continues.
Yes. Awesome. You can cheat, because that was totally worth it. Yeah. Okay, so my number 2 best scene from season 8 of Game of Thrones is from the last episode, episode 6, and it's when Jon kills Dany. I had to put it on there because I've said before, I had a feeling Dany was going to die, but I didn't think it would be at the hands of Jon. And just the way it all was done too, when he was, for a second, when he was like, she's like, we can rule together, and he like grabs her and he's like gonna kiss her. He's like, you're my queen now and always. And I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna work together. That's great news. I love this. It's like they redeemed themselves, those writers. But then he, you know, stabbed her, and then that was the end of Dany. And then he held her the way he held Ygritte on her death scene. So his 2 great loves kind of died in his arms. But he cried too because he knew it was like the hardest thing he had to do, but he had to do it. Yeah, the whole thing. And just him being the one to kill our beloved Dany. It had to happen. I know.
They
it had to happen.
surprised us one last time.
They did.
Like, you thought you knew what was going to happen, then they were like, oh, just kidding.
Yeah, exactly. The whole thing, but specifically when he killed her. Look at him holding her. It's just like Ygritte. It's crazy.
The way they do that, too, like, in one split second, like, you think you know what's going to happen,
like,
and then,
my gosh,
like,
they're going to work on it.
Yeah.
They're going to work things out.
Yeah.
And then you hear the stabbing. Yeah. Great scene.
Great scene.
Okay, let's talk about what we think is the best scene of that
so
season.
Speaking of thinking you know what's going to happen and then it changing in 1 second, my number 1 is from episode 3, The Long Night. And it's when Arya jumps up to kill the Night King and he grabs her and you think he's going to kill her and then she kills him.
Yes. Yes. So I'm just going to go ahead and say it. That's my number 1. That is the best scene.
It is
of season 8.
It's amazing.
I dare you to tell me it's
I
not.
can't
Guys.
even. You can't. Hands down.
It's the whole thing. It's the little
whole,
spider monkey jumping at him. It's him grabbing her. It's you thinking, oh my god, you're gonna kill Arya. It's her dropping the knife, whatever, and her sealing his fate. Yeah, the whole thing.
And then like it connects
so
back
fast.
to when Brienne saw her doing that move, and she's like, "Where'd you learn that?" I was like, "That same."
That's
it's like it all came together.
And that's where he was stabbed when he was created. And that's how he died.
Goosebumps all over.
It's perfectly done. And yes, you're right. Surprised, right?
Yes.
Completely surprised. So they're so brilliant the way they set it up because everybody's just like tired and exhausted and everybody's just like looks like they're about to die. They just can't fight any longer. And then, you know, we're thinking Bran's done for, and no, she comes out of nowhere.
It was so good.
That was so good.
So good. Well done.
If you were disappointed with anything after that, just go back to this.
Right.
You'll forget all about it.
Yeah.
It was huge. It was
Genius.
epic.
Yeah, epic.
Genius. Yes. I'm so glad that we had the same number 1. I think a lot of you out there are going to have the same number 1 if you guys make a list. That was really fun. That was a good one. So, okay, that's the end of this Fab 5. But, friends, stay tuned for lots more Fab 5s relating to Game of Thrones. Because now that the series has wrapped up, we're going to be doing top 5s from the whole series. So it's going to be like for example, most shocking deaths of the whole series, or like favorite supporting characters from the whole series. So yeah, we're really excited about this. This is going to be fun. It's going to be really hard though, because it's not just the season, it's the whole thing.
The whole thing.
That's what makes it so fun though.
A lot of deaths to choose from.
Yeah. And we're also going to be doing like the best scenes from the whole series.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's going to be tough.
I don't think I can do that. I'm going to have to. It's going to be worth it. Okay, so everybody stick around for that. And there's just lots more to come. Game of Thrones is not over for us.
It's not over.
No.
We will not let it go away.
Just begun. Yes, exactly. All right, thanks everybody. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.